Hey, welcome everybody to the King Show podcast. I think this episode today is timely in that the vendor I'm going to be talking to is going to help you get your land sold. Essentially, right now we're in a slow moving market with a lot of inventory. So, kind of separating your listings, right? Having your listings stand out helps a significant amount, especially when there's just a high bunch of like stale and stagnant inventory. And honestly, a lot of like poor cover photos. If you kind of look at listings and you see the featured photo is the screenshot from the GIS that maybe you're guilty of it, or maybe the just a lazy agent did. But that doesn't cut it, right? That cut it in the old days, but not now, right? You got to kind of up your game. So I'm going to be bringing on a vendor who's kind of figured out how to highlight not just with still pictures, but with via video and via drones. So I've got Michael Apke with Droners here. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you, Travis?
Hey, doing good, man. Why don't you just share with everybody your name and the name of your company and website, and then we can kind of visit about how you got into that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Apke. I own droners.io. We are the largest marketplace in the country for commercially licensed drone pilots. So essentially what you do is you hop on Droners, you post your job, you'll get a bunch of bids coming in from different pilots in the area. And we have thousands of active pilots. You hire who you want. And they'll take care of, specific for land, we do more than land, but for land, they'll take care of the marketing photos of your land. They'll do oftentimes due diligence as well, walk the land, take pictures if they see anything, trash on the property, wetlands, if they see anything, they would decrease the value of land. If they see any enhancements, getting pictures
Yeah.
of that as well. So we have that. And then we also have a done for you product where we handle on our side, we handle logistics. We have professional editors on staff. So basically you just place an order. We take care of the whole job for you. We professionally edit it, whether you need aerial photos, ground photos, videos, we handle all of that and then just deliver it back to you.
And how I know it's and I can share this is just one where I'm sharing a vendor. We've used your company a lot, like a lot with
Mm.
our funding company. We kind of decided to to go with the drone video on every listing we had. So yeah, this was prior to you taking ownership, of the company. So
Mhm.
we were using droners, and then you ended up buying them. But why don't you kind of give the backstory, the superhero origin story? How did you come about owning droners?
Yeah. I was a land investor since a lot of you probably know my brothers, Ron and Dan Apke.
Yeah,
They
I
own
was gonna
land
say that,
portal
dude. I
and
was gonna say, is there like this printing press or like factory up there in Ohio where they're just stamping out little
yeah.
Apke entrepreneurs up there? Or you guys all seem to have multiple businesses.
Yeah, and I mean, my dad's owned a business for over 40 years now, so kind of just how we grew up. I was the last one with a W-2 job. Everybody else in my family worked for themselves, so I was kind of the odd man out there until I quit my W-2 job and went full time. Um, but yeah, so so well, anyway, I've been a land investor since around 2021, and probably used it very similar to you. Used it all the time to get drone photographers, and then all of a sudden we noticed the site just kind of stopped working. Couldn't hire anybody, couldn't pay. And you said you had that experience where you would hire somebody and they wouldn't deliver you photos because they said they're not getting paid. So
Yeah.
I dove into that a little bit and found out the parent company of Droners, a company called Precision Hawk, had filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. So I talked to my brothers about it, and they're also, they do their land investing thing as well. I have a separate land investing business, but we both use Droners quite a bit. And I started kind of talking, I was like, what do you guys think about buying this? If I can kind of get some more information on it. And they were both interested. So I started diving in and I messaged on LinkedIn, the old CEO of Precision Hawk, and he was not very, like, he kind of just told me to screw off in, in,
Yeah.
in a way. He probably wasn't in a great,
In
his
a great
company just
headspace or
went
move.
bankrupt.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding this guy, like a Norwegian company that at one point merged with Precision Hawk, and he gave me the information. So I was talking to all these people, messaging old employees, calling people, and I ended up getting rerouted to this trustee of Precision Hawk's bankruptcy auction, and found out they were auctioning off droners. So from there, we put a plan together. We say, okay, we're going to bid. This all happened kind of last minute as well. We had like a week to submit a bid. We submitted a bid. It got approved. And there's like, okay, you
How
guys
do
need to,
you? Let me ask you this, and you don't have to share numbers, but how do you even have a clue what ballpark? Like, is there a minimum bid that
yeah,
they request for you? Is that how you? And
yeah,
then you
it
go
was
from
something
there.
like, yeah, I think it was something like if you put up 50,000 and then you can come to the auction
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That's basically
That
what
buys
it
you a
was something
seat at
like
the
that.
table for the auction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I don't know if that number, it was something around there though. So we put that together, and I think we bought plane tickets to, it was in Raleigh. So it was in a federal bankruptcy court in Raleigh, like an actual federal court. It is an interesting experience. We got tickets like the day before to fly there. It's like, okay, it's on, because we didn't know. We didn't
Yeah.
know it was on. Like, okay, we got to go. And we went to this auction. It was in this federal courthouse. The trustee was super cool though. Like it could have been in the courtroom. He's like, hey, we'll just do it in the hallway. We'll do it kind of nonchalant. And we're just like bidding back and forth. Like, okay, we'll do X number. Okay, then they come back.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we got to make a phone call, and we end up winning it in that court. We go into the courtroom. It was a federal judge, or it was some sort of federal judge, and she basically, okay, drone, this is yours. We go through that whole process, and that was April 2023. So went through that whole process of um buying droners from a federal bankruptcy
But
court
when they say
in
it's
April.
yours, obviously there's some how do you even know what assets are included? You know what I mean? Like with when you're
Yeah.
buying the business, is that something you knew ahead of time, like a little bit, or is it just you knew you're taking ownership of the company and you kind of have to reconcile it to inventory after
Yeah.
you bought it?
It was a challenge. So we knew what we were getting, like in terms of the software, in terms of the client list. But what was difficult is we were getting that from, it's not like buying a normal business where you get help. We were buying that from a bankrupt business. So like the trustee had like one guy on the staff who would work for Precision Hawk. He was an IT guy, but he didn't ever work on droners. And he was like getting us all the account access. It took like a month to get access to Stripe. And that was our payment
Yeah.
processor. So I had no access to our funds for a month. It was it was a messy situation, just getting all the code and getting all that back and hiring my own developers, and trying to figure that all out. So that was definitely a challenging situation, buying it specifically from a bankrupt company versus if we were just buying it from a real company where
Right.
it would get transferred over
Yeah, and where
smoothly.
sometimes even like the operator might stay on or commit to
Yeah,
helping during some
exactly.
overlap or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was none of that, but it was we got it up and running. We were excited. I was excited. I was fired up. So it was like, okay, we're gonna get this to work. Eventually, got everything back up and running within a month or so, and yeah, just been moving forward ever since, trying to improve the product, trying to increase our working on client acquisition, things like that.
Yeah, well, and I felt like it already had a pretty solid interface, right? So you had that going, like, it was pretty good. We had I know there was different tiers when we were using a lot, what tier we would choose for our drone package, right? What have you updated or changed since then? Like, if somebody's wanting to use your service now, do they just go to the website, sign up, pick a package, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you go to the website, you can either pick a package, and like I said, that's kind of our done for you thing, where we'll handle it for you. That's for people that don't want to spend the time managing the projects. But then we also have our marketplace, where you just post a job, clients will bid you. It's more hands-on management. So we've made I'd say lots of little improvements, just with the flow of things, just even like attachments, things like that. The major improve like so for about the past 9 months, we've been full focused on like a full site redesign. So that's why there haven't been any huge improvements that come recently. I've had all my developers like working on this, and we're releasing that in April this year. So that will be like major improvements to the site, much faster. It'll be much easier for us to add improvements moving forward. We'll have like job templates. So if you post a job
Yeah.
once, you can just come back and say, hey, reuse this template. So you don't have to repost the same, rewrite, copy, paste every
Yep.
single time. The chat between pilots is going to be substantially enhanced. Just overall, the workflow and speed is going to be a lot easier. So we're working on that, and that's planning early April. That will be released. So that's really where all our efforts been, is like one major improvement, and then we'll keep building off that.
And then that's what I was gonna ask about or share is that sometimes when somebody goes, "Oh, I like the idea that having video," right? And then as we know from the video that you can capture shots, right? Like aerial shots that are pictures for your listing in addition to the video. But sometimes people go, "Okay, now I'm aware of it, I get it, but like I don't even know how to kick off a job. Like, what do I ask for?" You know what I mean? What am I asking for? Because there's like at what I think the first time we done it in a droner, the contractor had asked us like, at what heights do you want me to fly it at? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000. Like, I have no clue, right? You know what I mean? I have zero clue what I'm even
yeah,
asking for. So it's kind of like just find like a YouTube video of somebody else's and go, oh, make it look like this. Is that something you guys kind of have like a canned or templated job kickoff order for a
yes.
land investor? Because I know it's different. You guys do. I mean, land is, I'm sure, just one kind of tent pole, right?
Mhm.
And the whole thing. I know you guys do a lot of commercial, industrial stuff, but do you kind of have like canned templates to kick off a job request for people?
We don't. So that's a great idea. And one thing I'm planning to put on, it's still is adding some AI to help with the job writing.
Yeah.
So just that'll have some stuff built into it. We don't have a release date for that yet, but that is something I'm planning to make that easier. With our so if you go to our, we have package. So if you go to our done for you package jobs, that of course we have everything pre-written out. We have specific angles, we get different heights, and we have a way we do video, way we do the photos. For the other job for land, we should make that more accessible. That's a great point and something we should add.
Well,
One
that's
thing
something we'll
where
put up. I know you came on. I should share this with people. You came on our mastermind in the past and fielded rapid fire, fielded questions from everybody. And I believe you kind of created a Google Doc for something like
yeah,
that. It wasn't building the
yes.
interface or the platform, but that's maybe something we can arrange if people visit the link that we share later in the show
Mhm.
on the show notes page. Maybe they can get that as a PDF or a Google Doc or something to help them kick it off. In the meantime, before you guys kind of get that built in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have I have templates that we can share. And and another thing, a lot of so as a lot of these pilots are very experienced with doing land jobs. So that's another benefit, especially as you get pilots, they have as you get bids, I mean from pilots, they have their own portfolios. You can see what other jobs they do. They have different reviews. So pilots that are experienced with land jobs, they generally know like you can kind of that's the good thing you have a back and forth too. So you can ask, what do you normally do? I need this. I need marketing for this job, or I need marketing for this parcel. I need due diligence done. And a lot of them will know, they can give you some guidance as well. But the templates
Yeah.
are a great idea too.
Well, and then so how about boundaries? Like when you're flying overhead, are they able to overlay or add like parcel boundary lines? Because that's a big
Yes.
one. I feel like when you're doing drone or aerial, sometimes you don't know where the parcel starts or stops, right?
Yes.
When they're flying, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, that all looks pretty, but where is my parcel, right? Within this.
Yes.
Um,
So we do that. We provide that in our package jobs, and then you can always ask. Most of the pilots have at least some basic editing skills. Some have better than others, but you can have those added on pretty easily, whether you use the marketplace or you use our done for you jobs.
and then what's like the deliverable? What are you guys or the droners? What are they giving as far as when the job's completed? Is it a video file? Um, pictures or what all isn't kind of included.
Yes, it depends on what you ask for and what you want, but it'll be image files. Sometimes you'll get the raw image and the JPEGs, and the JPEGs are usually the post edited files. The raw or the pre edited, they're much bigger files. Or if you don't want the raws, you don't have to get the raws. And it'll be either video clips. If you're asking for editing, you can have like an edited marketing video. We do that with our done for you packages. Some of the pilots have editing experience as well. There's also like as you're posting the job, there's a button that is editing required. So you can select yes on that,
Yeah.
and then it will go, the pilots that have editing experience, know how to edit, they can take care of that. So it can be video clip. Like it depends on what you want. Cause some people just are mostly, it's like, hey, we just need raw video clips,
Yeah.
raw photos. We want due diligence done. We want to see everything. And we have editors on our side. We'll take care of the rest. Or some people want more of a final product. And that's more like some of the bigger land investors that do very high volumes. They have like their own team of
Yeah.
editors. They have their own team of mark. They take care of it themselves. So they just want, everything raw. They'll
Yeah.
take care of the rest versus maybe some of the smaller investors want, hey, I don't want to deal with any of that. I just want a final product.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would say. Either way, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a done for you. There's always, that's the
Yeah.
question. Like, okay, there's always do it yourself, done with you, maybe. And then is there a done for you? So I'm always the jump straight to the done for you if that's an option, right? From a
Right.
vendor. You mentioned something though I hadn't really thought of. I always think of droning as like the marketing, sales, disposition, highlighting the property, but you kind of said
Mhm.
due diligence, right? Like the
Oh,
video, flying a drone, maybe being that most of us are remotely land investing, not doing it in
mhm.
our own backyard. Are you seeing people use that or drone request as part of due diligence
Mhm.
to kind of see what they've got or, see what they can see from overhead that maybe the agent walking the property, or if they haven't had anybody walk the property, are there people using it for due diligence?
Yes, using it to help with that for sure. For one, you can sometimes see, or you can often see more from the
Yeah.
aerial shots than you could just walking the property. You might see things, especially if it's a big parcel. If you have a 60-acre parcel, it's hard to walk. You can see a lot more from the aerial shots, and that's how I always used it. It would be multifaceted, where it'd be full on like you're the first person when I'm buying a property. This drone, I hired this drone pilot. You're the first person going to the property. I don't have an agent there yet. Maybe I'm not even using an agent on this one. I'm doing like a flat rate broker. So yeah, I would use them for like like that's eyes. That's my first eyes on the ground.
That's good to know because it's one of those things like that's kind of a blind spot or an oversight. I hadn't even thought of using it for that, right? Because
Mhm.
we're so everybody's business model is a little different, right? But where ours is very much, we're using agents on everything. There's an
Okay.
agent walking it, but like you said, they're not walking a 60-acre property corner to corner, right? But if you're listing and selling yourself, especially, and
Yeah.
you're not ever sending anybody out there, I could see the use of the drone like killing some deals where you go, oh, we don't want to buy this because we don't see any wetlands on the map, but like when we flew the drone, we
Yeah.
could see standing water on it or something like that. So yeah, that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense, especially when some of the things that you like perk tests or things you pay for, right? That maybe you wouldn't even do that, right? If you
Right.
flew the drone. So yeah, I
Yeah.
like
You could
that. That's
potentially
something I
pull
hadn't
out
really thought
early
of
so
is
you don't
wrapping
waste
it
more
into
money.
your, yeah, exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. What are you seeing from the people using it? Do you kind of have a lot of your users kind of one off here or there based on the property? Are you seeing like a number of like heavy hitter operators that build it into their,
Mhm.
into their process where this is just what we do every property we reach out to droners and we order it?
Yes. So combination of both. Kind of similar to land investing because you have some land investors that come in and they do one or two deals and they kind of dissipate off, and then you have ones that do a lot more. So yeah, we have land investors done hundreds of jobs, probably even some that with thousands of jobs they've done, where it's just part of their process. Where we get to this point, we post a job on Droners or we buy a done for you package. So a lot of repeat business, and it works very very well for land because we can access every piece of the country because we have so many pilots. Very few
Yeah.
land investors. There are some, I shouldn't say that, but like the type generally what we're doing, like very few of the lands in their backyard where they can, you know,
Yeah.
where they'll have like we're going in all different areas across the country. So we have access to take care of that for land investors anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, well, and then how about this one year? Because I'm thinking obviously that takes care of the overhead, the aerial, the shots. Are there any of the droners that are also kind of do photography where you go, I want on-site photos, right? But I don't want to pay for that separately or, arrange for that separately? Are there droners that not just know how to run a drone, but know how to run a camera too?
Yes. Yeah, and that's a great question because I wouldn't mention, but that should be. I would ask for ground photos on every shoot,
Yeah.
and specifically ask for professional cameras, and like put that in your thing, and that's what. So like that, I,
Ground
I would ask
photos
if
with
you're
a professional camera in the
100%.
kind of the job request.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and that's what we do. Like if for our done for you package jobs, every job comes with X amount of aero photos, X amount of ground photos, and they're professionally shot and then professionally edited as well. Where we do color correction, we ensure there's a blue sky. Like we just make it image enhanced, make it look great.
Are you guys right now, we're kind of talking about this as like a B2C type business, right? Where people are reaching out on your platform, individuals. Do you guys have relationships or do you do any like B2B? Like I would think like brokerages, right?
Mhm.
Or land specific brokerages like a Mossy Oak, Whitetail Properties. I'd feel like some of those companies like that would be good, where you go, hey, we'll do all your drone stuff. Have you considered that or gotten into that yet?
So, not brokerages like that. We've had individual agents work with us. We have some commercial brokerages that do a lot of business with us. But yeah, that's definitely somebody that we can reach out to. But we have like individual agents from
Yeah.
different land brokerages and a lot of
Because
commercial as well
'Cause
that,
a
that
lot
use
of
us.
them are still using their cell phone, I'll tell you that, right? You've all seen that, you go to Zillow, you're looking at that house picture, and it's like the picture of the bathroom, and you see the agent's reflection in the mirror
Yeah,
holding up their cell phone, right? That's like the quality, you know what I mean, of
yeah,
some of those photos where I'm like, "I don't want you to drive 2 or 3 hours to my piece of rural vacant land, and then you take a cell phone picture," right?
yeah,
So I'm with you on, like, the professional camera, right, or the quality. We had a really
100%.
good photographer we were using in northern Arizona for a while. Guy was out of Flagstaff. He would travel like within 3 hours, right, to any properties. And he was awesome because he knew like what time of day or, when the sun was setting or, what I mean? He kind of understood the best time or if it was a bad weather day, he wouldn't go out. And we had a good setup going where he would drive in, he'd type up the driving directions, based on like not on Google Maps, but on actually when you're out there, and he'd take pictures and do all that. But he just has a very small footprint, right? So like you said, if you're in more than one market or you're in lots of markets, you kind of need access to that network of photographers or droners. But
Yeah,
we sold a lot of property, and when we were working in these like super red ocean, I mean, Arizona in general, right? And cheap markets where, dozens of other land investors in, we sold way faster than everybody
Yes.
because we would watermark on-site photo, right? Like there was no, you know what I mean? There was no like, oh, are they using a generic photo of Arizona, right? Or a
Yeah.
screenshot or borrowing somebody else's. But the on-site photos sold our properties over and over again because I could say that. Like, yeah, he would take a picture, maybe even include his Jeep, truck in the picture,
Hmm.
right? So you could see like it wasn't some generic
Yeah.
picture. But I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of on-site photos and of drone video, drone footage.
I think of it as the first property tour if, especially with land or whatever it is, but with land. And I think it's especially important because a lot of this, it's very rural, there's limited buyer pools. It's very rural. So you want to get as much interest as possible. And if somebody's going to drive 2 hours, 3 hours to go view this piece of land, which is often the case, sometimes it's longer than that, sometimes a little bit shorter, but if someone's going to go drive, like you need to have like they need to be able to see the property from every angle, the ground, like what's good about it, like being able to show the full property tour of this, and that'll make the most of the buyer pool. Like it's oftentimes a limited buyer pool, so you don't want to lose. I mean, if you put a GIS photo up or and you'll see some that just have a couple phone photos of the ground, you're not going to get the most out of your buyer pool, and you're going to, because of that, it's going to take longer to sell oftentimes. And when the markets in faster markets, that's not always a problem, but things are a little
Yeah,
bit different now. You really have to take your marketing seriously and give that the potential buyers, show them as much of the properties you can so they have an incentive to go visit, rather than they just you see a GIS photo, it's like, okay, just keep
yeah.
scrolling, or whatever it is. And
Well, I think
you said
that
that in the beginning, and that's something I go, when I see that on sale, I'm like, what is he do? What are they doing? Like,
yeah.
just not even
Well, I
trying.
had one agent that I was like, "Tell me the logic," because he moved a lot of property. I'm like, "Tell me the logic behind this," because the covered photo is terrible. I mean, it's like a
Mhm.
GIS screenshot. You know what I mean? Why are we doing this? I'll pay for the drone video. I'll pay for it. And
Yeah,
he was like, "I don't like seller disclosures." He's like, If I haven't seen anything, I don't have to disclose anything." Right. So that was kind of his thing. He's like, I
that's a
don't
little
want to visit
sketch.
the property because if there's a fridge leaking Freon or a stack of tires, I don't want to have to disclose that. So I was like, well, good. At least I know there's a method to the madness. It's not just
Yeah,
lazy on the photo side, right? But I'm with you. I want to know due diligence like before I buy it, not after I buy it, what I've inherited or what I've ended up with. Talk to me more about like the done for you. And I know obviously like pricing changes, so you don't have to commit to the pricing, but give us an idea, the ballpark we're in and what's included in that done for you.
sure. We have the base package. We have a base package which is um 20 aerial photos, 10 ground. That's no editing. And then we have one package above that, and that's really the one I recommend if you're just looking for photos. It's 20 aerial photos, 10 ground photos, and we have specific shot lists. So we're getting every angle. We're going from 400 feet, 200 feet, 150 and 50 feet, and getting all the different angles around the property. And with that, you get we have editors on staff, so we get professional editing. The photos will always look very, very good. We get a lot of compliments on that. They do a great job. We make, even if the weather's a little off, we try to schedule around the weather, but there's only so much you can do. So we can always make the sky look blue. We can always we color correct. We make it look bright. We can make everything look great, and that's really the option for. And we have a lot of we have a lot of land investing clients for this, because it's a
Yeah.
hands off option. If you don't want to post a job and then go back and forth with pilots and then hire a pilot, then manage them, where you just buy it, you pay for a package. It's like, so you put in some details. It's like, okay, we'll take care of it for you. And we've done this thousands of times now. So we have a routine for it. We get consistency with it. So that's what the done for you package is. So that package is $299. The package with a professional marketing video, which is about a 2-minute marketing video. And that'll be like a video that goes around. It'll show the parcel overlays. It'll have some royalty-free music that you can pick on it. And then we also do a social marketing video with that, which is like a 15-second, like for social media, if you want that as well. And that one comes with a few more photos too. I think 40 aerial, 30 ground, something like that. And that one's $549. So yeah,
Yeah.
just a great option if you're looking to kind of get the hands off option and want that consistency, just with something we've done over and over again.
Well, and it's one of those things you start to do the math on like, drive time, right? The scope of work you're doing it. And it's almost, you couldn't justify doing it yourself. Even if you're like, well, that might be fun. I'll buy a drone. I'll go and take care of
Yeah.
this myself. It's like at the end of the day as an operator, like the hourly doesn't work out, right? The math doesn't work out. It's a fantastic value that you're
Yes.
getting for
Yes.
what you're paying. And it's also the if you're heavily working an area, there's some stuff, right? Like, that can be repurposed if there's a ski hill nearby, if there's a lake, if there's some of
Hmm.
those, you know what I mean? There's some of that footage that kind of like as it stacks up and you've done more and more of them. Yeah, it's just really, really an asset. It's really valuable. And then even when you move from listing for sale to sold, right? Being able to show your sold properties kind of as a portfolio,
Hmm.
right? And all of
Hmm.
those, yeah, I'm a big fan of that. When you got like, what has been the biggest on the business side, not on like the vendor, the service you're providing side, but as a business owner, entrepreneur buying the company, what's kind of been the biggest struggle that you didn't anticipate with taking over the business? Since you didn't start the business, right, and bootstrap it,
Sure.
you bought an existing one. And what did you get yourself into that you didn't know would be an issue?
Always more than you think. I mean, initially, the first challenge we were attacking was just getting the original client base back when we bought it, because that was a big thing. We were essentially down for 6 months, so it's getting the initial client base back, and then I think it's probably just normal challenges you have as you're trying to grow a business. I'm managing developers, I'm managing project managers, I've have some salespeople, I have some virtual assistants. So just I don't need to get into the nuances, but anybody, if you've managed people or you own a business, you have
Yeah.
people working for you, there's general challenges that are going to come up with that are unforeseen.
Yeah.
Um, and then just, I mean, just constantly trying to grow, constantly trying to get better. I think there's just always challenge when you grow. You just constantly run into obstacles, and you have to have that mindset. As an entrepreneur, like I think as an entrepreneur, you have to think of yourself as a problem solver. Like that's what I do. I'm a
Yeah.
problem solver. I'm going to attack these problems because you'll have no shortage of problems with like things are just going to wrong. Some people are going to. I don't want to get into all the details, but normal entrepreneurship problems. I
Well,
think.
yeah. Oh, once you're in your operations, yeah, it's a daily or weekly thing,
Yeah.
the headaches. But I was thinking like early on, if there was some damage control on the droners or contractors, right, that weren't getting paid from the original owner, if you had to kind of repair any of those relationships or re-engage the actual droners,
Hmm.
themselves. So, hey, new ownership, right?
Yes.
Guys, new
Yeah.
ownership.
Yeah. So that part was not that difficult because we're coming in fresh. It's like, hey, brand new ownership. Like we're going to take care of you. We got you. So that part wasn't that difficult. The early on challenges, the biggest thing was just getting all the software migrated over, getting access. Like I said, Stripe, but that the software migration was all like very very challenging without any real help from the other side. And I had developers on my side. Like we're basically like, and they didn't have any documentation. So we're like going. And I was a software developer, for 6 years
Oh,
before I bought Droner.
awesome.
So that's one thing I wanted, kind of a software business, because I have experience in there. We're going through the codes like, okay, this works, like just even trying to figure out how everything worked on the back end was definitely a challenge.
That's my next question. That's awesome because I was going to say, well, hey, if you're not a developer, how do you sometimes getting into this? Like for me, as somebody who's like a heavy power user of when I'm doing softwares, right? Like I'm getting in there.
Hmm.
I'm not initially, especially, I'm not delegating it to somebody else on the team. So I have tons of feature requests. Generally like, hey, add this drop down. We should be able to search by this. A lot of these changes, right? User interface, just and I realize like some of these things, like, you make a request. It's easy to make the request, right? Even if it's an intelligent request, but it's like for the developer, you don't know if is this a 10-minute request or is this something that's going to take us 10 hours or 10 days?
Yeah.
You know what? For the developers, right? Because it's
Sure.
easy to just make that request. But on the development side, if you don't speak that language or understand that, it can be frustrating as the owner if you don't get it. But that's
Hmm.
good with you kind of speaking that language or maybe even being able to roll your sleeves up and kind of get in there side by side or at least show them, what you're looking for. That's got to be an advantage for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I have a great team now, so it's much less of it now. But definitely, like coming from that world where I kind of understand product management. I understand how developers think, and I know I had some in the past I've gotten rid of that they were taking too long on things. Like I kind of know how long something should take,
Yes.
and I can tell when somebody's putting in a real effort versus when they're not. So coming from that world is definitely beneficial when you come from software. It'd be hard if I didn't have somebody with that background coming into this. It definitely would have been challenging.
Yeah, it is because I didn't know that, right, with software, right? So there's some things where in hindsight I go, man, I could have just hired somebody on Upwork. I didn't need to hire an employee. You know what I mean? Like this
Hmm.
was a gig or a project, or somebody could be on retainer or something,
Right.
right? Like you don't necessarily need a full-time employee. Some of the stuff isn't full-time, you
Hmm.
know? So yeah, that's you don't know what you don't know, and you get into, software, or especially software support, yeah, let's say, jump back, or pull on that thread. What were you doing? What industry were you working in when you were a developer, and how long did you do that?
I was a software developer for about 6 years, maybe a little over 6 years. It was in the insurance industry, and it's really a great job. Like I had great bosses, great team. I just kept coming back to this feeling like I was settling. I'm not like a lot, like I hear a lot of entrepreneurs, like I hated my job. I had to get out. So I left. It wasn't like that. Like I would have been perfectly fine. I was making good money. I'd still like, I was climbing the ladder. Everything was good, but it just kept thinking like, I'm not taking any risk right now. It was a very stable company. Everybody's there. Like the amount of people there that were there for 30, 40 years was unbelievable. Which shows it was a great company. Like they
Yeah.
took care of their employees. It's an awesome company, but it's like, I need to at least give this a shot. And I was doing land investing on the side too while I was working there. So I was
Okay,
making,
so you'd already started that. So that's kind of the
yeah,
but, right? That's the seed though,
yeah,
like
yes.
started you started doing something outside of day job. So now you're going, okay.
100%. Yeah. And I got to the point where I was making more land investing than I was at my full-time job. So that also was another indicator, but it's like I have to like I have to go for this. I want this. Like I want to take on some risk. I want to try to build something big. And, your career path in the corporate world, it's very much, it's not predetermined, but there's, steps you take. And I just wanted something. I wanted to at least shoot for something bigger to see what I could do.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I had this conversation with my wife lots of times where like I would, take on more work, more responsibility, get a promotion, get a title, get a pay raise, get a better office, like all
Hmm.
those things. And I just still was like, why can't I be happy? Like, why can't I be content? You know what I mean? I just never, it was just always like this nagging yearning of like, what if, or, should I
Hmm.
be building my own empire? Just was never happy. And I was like, blessing and a curse, right, at times, because you'd see people who could just lock in, and they just don't have all the headaches of running businesses,
Yeah.
and all that stress of starting things up, and the ups and downs, right, the revenue that come with economy, and market
Hmm.
shifts and all that. I'm like, man, there's times I go, I wish I could be like that, but the reality is it's just like you can suppress it, but it just keeps rearing its head if it's in you.
Yeah.
It's got to manifest. It's got to get out, even if it's like the first business or six don't work, right? Like that's with us. It's, man, you just gotta, yeah, you kind of got to honor that, right?
Yeah.
You kind of got to
That's
honor
a
that.
great word to use because that's exactly what I did. I tried to suppress it multiple times. Like, this is good. I've got a great job on a great path. And it just kept popping back up over and over. And it's like, okay, I got to go for this.
Well, I have a client who he's kind of like, there's times like, man, Travis, I wish I could be like you and take risks and like start all these companies and do all these things. And I'm like, man, I wish I could be like you and have the discipline. He
Yeah.
has a six-figure job. It's a remote job, so it's not that hard, right? Only got to put in about 4 hours a day of real work if you sit down and work, right? Nobody's working 8 hours, right? When you go into the office, you're talking about the game, you're visiting about family. What'd you do this weekend?
Hmm.
Office interruptions, commute. You know what I mean? Like if you strip that
Hmm.
stuff away, it's like there's 4 or 5 hours of work every day.
Right.
So like he's, working at home and just sitting down and getting the work done, the W-2 work done, and then still has 4+ hours for land business. So I'm like, man, I wish I could be like you. I had the discipline to have a six-figure
Hmm.
job with all the benefits and insurance and, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and run your land company without it. You know, for me, it was like you, once the land company kind of surpassed, when I had a 2 month period where I made as much in 2 months. It was
Hmm.
just a massive start to a year. I made as much in January and February of one year
Yeah.
as I would make that whole year, and that's where I go, okay, like
Yeah. Got to
I
go
can't make
dive into
sense
this.
of this anymore. Like I've got to,
Yeah.
I've tried to be patient, but I've got to quit this. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, some people are miserable and trapped and feel like they need to get out. Others, it's like, well, I don't mind my job, right? I don't mind my job, but I want to build like something on the outside. And I think that's like natural to have that curiosity or that nagging, feeling. So that had you at this point, you're doing your land business. So talk to me about where you're at, where your brothers are at, and what they're doing at the same time. Because you said you're the
Yeah.
last one trapped in a W-2 job, right?
I quit a couple years ago now. Yeah. So my brothers are doing they have their land they have their I'm separate from that. I do a little coaching for them for land investing online. But they're very focused. They have their coaching business and they're very focused on the land portal, building, growing the land portal. That's their software business. I'm doing land investing as well. I mostly focus on subdivides, minor subdivides, so targeting bigger properties with a lot of road frontage and splitting those up. So do that
My
quite a
love
bit.
language. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so but the majority of my focus right now is on droners and trying to build droners. I love this business and just trying to grow this, help as many people as we can in the different industries that need drone pilots for whether it is for marketing, for due diligence, for construction progress, for agricultural reasons,
So are your
whatever the needs. So
brothers
that's
beating you
really
up though, man? Are they texting you and like, dude, you got to get out of that job? Like you know what I mean? You got to go full time back when you're still trapped in your job. And at that point they had left jobs, right? And
yeah.
started their companies. Are they giving you a hard time at all?
Maybe Daniel a little, not a hard time. I think Daniel, my youngest, yeah, you know both of them, right? Ron and Dan,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
But Daniel was pushing me probably a little bit more. I remember my dad called me at one point, and he was like for a while, he's like he kind of wanted me to stay at my W-2 job. He's like, you're gonna be a multi-million, like you're gonna make millions of, like you're gonna be set, like you're good. You're not gonna
Yeah.
have the stress because he knows the
That's
stress. He's owned
insurance.
a
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
for 45
Compounded,
years.
right? Over
Like
time.
you've got a X amount of money in your 401k already. That's gonna, be 20 times like. And so and then he called me like after I bought droners, he's like, you probably need to quit your job, don't you? And he knew I was doing well with land investing too. And then when he said that too, I was like, okay, yeah, probably should attack this. And that's after there was but
Honestly,
Dan was a
though,
little bit, and
I'm kind of like, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of overlap as long as you can tolerate it, right? If because once you go full time with anything, you got to start cannibalizing the profits and paying yourself, you know. So if you can suffer overlap for an extended period of time, you can keep plowing those profits back into the business. So as long as you can pull it off, I think early on, and it was more probably from me listening to other people who are full time investors or entrepreneurs, the kind of whole burn the ships, right? Never turn back, you know. But after having done it with a family and kids and the stress that comes with going, oh, wait, like it's not just the salary you got to replace. There's like $3,000 a month health insurance
yeah,
plan. There's the
sure,
loaded salary of like the company vehicle you had. This, you know what I mean? There's
yeah,
just so loaded salary. So now I kind of caution people a little more,
hmm,
especially if you're a young guy in your 20s, dude, who cares? Quit. Like you can get another job, right? But
right,
if you're in your mid 30s or 40s and you got a family and stuff, it should be methodical,
right,
is kind of
yeah.
my belief, you know?
100%. And I agree with that. And that was very nice, like for land investors, especially because you need capital for your land investing business. But when I was making good money land investing and I had a full-time job where I was building up this money land investing, didn't have to touch it. Like it was just building up. I'd
Yeah.
use it to fund deals or whatever. Like that was nice. But it came to the point where to put the amount of work in to build what I wanted to build as big as I wanted to build it, I had to go full time. I know myself, I tend to make a lot of backup plans. So I always had these other plans like, ooh, this is an option, this is an option, this is an option.
Option
And by
Z,
quitting
yeah.
my job, it's like, this is what I'm doing. Like if everything, falls apart, I can always I can always adapt and figure something out. I will. But like by quitting the job, it's like, okay, I'm fully committed to this. I'm going to make this work. So that's where it was important to me. I don't think, but I also did multiple years, like I did multiple couple years of land, more than a couple years of land investing
Yeah.
before I did that, before I quit. And so it was very planned out, but it was also something I think was necessary for me to put the amount of work in I needed to, and just to make that like, no more plan B, C, D, E. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to make this work. I'm put everything I have into this. And so I think I
And
needed
for
that.
us, the funny thing is for us, our business exploded when I went full time because
Hmm.
it was just split focus, right? It's something I didn't realize until we had 100% focus on one thing that, that's when it really, I
Yes.
mean, it
Yes.
really took off for us. Are there something I was thinking about is, like as land investors, real estate investors, you kind of have to adapt to the market and pivot your business, to fit the market needs.
Hmm.
Like we're always looking at how do we do less deals a year and make more money per deal, but at the same time, that's not just a goal. Sometimes it's like you have to because, like I feel like the market in the last couple of years, there's not as many buyers out there, right? Not as you can't move as many properties, so you can't force that high volume, high
Hmm.
transaction business on the market if it's not absorbing them. But again, I'm thinking if people were doing that with droners, right? Do you guys have to make adjustments? Like, do you have to go, okay, like hey, maybe rather than a land investor that brings 60 deals a year or 60 drone jobs a year, right? And now they're only doing 20, you know, do you have to look at, okay, let's make like the commercial, let's focus
Yes.
on within the business, like the commercial or industrial or the parts that are taking off while others are slowing down. Do you kind of have to swing the pendulum based on, where the
Mhm.
market is and what services, or have you not been in it long enough to have to deal with that?
Constantly adapting. That is so land investing is still it's still very big, and there's still a lot of big operators that use droners. And honestly, I think the market's a lot bigger than I thought it was. So we're still attacking land investing hard. And I think I have the biggest advantage in the land industry because I know what land investors want. I've done it myself. Like I have the best relationships with land investors. My brothers have good relationships with land investors, so that's kind of where I have the biggest advantage. But yeah, we've been targeting commercial a lot, where I've had salespeople, and we're really figuring out how to get more into commercial, especially for our done for you packages. And like I said, we have the marketplace where you post a job, get hired, and then you have the done for you that's fully taken care of. So we've been
Yeah,
attacking commercial quite a bit for the done for you packages. But there's still definitely a heavy focus on land investing, just because uh, has the industry for us, even if the land investing gone down, the amount of land investing jobs, the amount of land, I should just say land jobs we've done has gone up, just because I think we're growing. So even if
you're growing. Yeah,
total investors, like
exactly.
we're growing, we're getting ourselves out there more. So that is growing for us. Just land drone jobs has been
Well,
growing.
and as word gets out, right, and other people, word of mouth, like share,
Yes.
right? That's something I saw when I shifted from, and it was not something we planned for or thought, but when I started coaching students, I was in 3 states, one primarily and dabbling in 2 others, right? So I had a small footprint. So when I would talk about the state of the land market or land in general, it was really limited, honestly, to like those 3 states I was in. But when I started coaching, that
Hmm.
opened my exposure up to a lot of other states, and I felt like I got better at understanding the macro. And then when we started
Hmm.
funding, we're now funding in additional states, and you're underwriting the deals, so you really got to know the market, right? You're
Right.
talking to the agents,
Yeah.
you're making sure that everything pencils out. So those businesses for me, that coaching others brought me outside of
Hmm.
my territory, and then funding brought me even wider to where, like, now I feel probably like you with droners, right? You've got this massive footprint, and you see different markets. So even when people go, this is slow or that's slow, it's like, well, not as a whole. Like it's not slow in South Carolina, or what I mean, or
Hmm.
North Carolina, or like they might think it's slow where, or other states the values are going down. Maybe you're in parts of Texas and the values have been down 20%, and then you're in South Carolina and they're up 20%.
Right.
So it's real estate can be hyper local,
Hmm.
right?
100%. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so I'm sure there's areas where there's less activity, but then activity is increasing.
Hmm.
In other areas is kind of what we've seen as we've have a bigger vantage or a bigger view now of the market.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that completely. It is hard to say, even though you say overall maybe it's a little harder to sell land, or probably is, but that is going to be very market specific, because there are plenty of markets where things are still moving very quickly.
yeah. Well, I love your business model. I love what you do. I've got a friend right now who's doing a lot of like on a value add. We're doing putting in fencing, putting in roads, doing a lot of this stuff. And that's why
Nice.
I'm like, ah, how do I capture the ongoing progress where it's not just a one day send them out there and they're
Yeah.
done type of thing. So even for his, that's why we'll probably do some before and after. But even for his, I was like, it might make sense for him to get a drone so he can kind
Hmm.
of, you know, um, kind of chronicle that, for a case study later. Cause I'll share, we had just when we were doing like ground photos, we had a droner and then we had ground photos, but we sent them out there the day that we had a contractor clearing the lot. They were thinning all the brush
Hmm.
and running bobcats. And we included that in the video. And we got so many comments about that. Just
Nice.
yeah, just
Yeah.
about, what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of just showing it for sale, like people could see that the improvement we made, the spin we made, they didn't have to. The buyer didn't have to spend that money to do that. So that was kind of
Right.
part of it. It's like, hey, you're not going to beat us up on price. We just spent $7,000 clearing the
Right.
lot. So
Yeah.
you could see the lake from the road now, right? So yeah, I think there's overlooked uses of it too, right? Like that, where you can kind of capture anything, any value you're adding that the end buyer won't have to do.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very normal thing in construction where they'll do progress reports. And some of it's just to make sure everything looks good, everything's going on time, but they also use it for marketing quite a bit, the construction companies where once every 2 weeks, once a month, they have a drone pilot come out there. And that's why you can do multi-flight jobs on droners where you can schedule them on whatever basis you need, and they'll just show the progress of the construction. But that's a great point with land. I've never thought about that, but actually showing the work you're doing to improve the land and then using that to market it so people see the value add like that. That's
Yeah, well, and part of it for me, I'm not just approach it like from, all right, flipping or selling land. I'm thinking like as a trainer, somebody that like, how can I share case studies or kind of
sure.
show instead of just a
Yep.
testimonial, right? Like about a student doing a deal. It's like, hey, in a subdivide, can we walk people through this so we demystify something that like you, probably your
Mhm.
first subdivide, right? You get
Yep.
through one or two and it's not as daunting or scary, as before. But when you're new and don't know anything, but if somebody can kind of see that start to finish, they don't have to like try to close their eyes and imagine the milestones or steps,
Yeah.
in a subdivide. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of drone. I'm even like I'm seeing all these different use cases where they're flying them on the like utility lines, right? To inspect utility lines, gas pipelines,
Mhm.
things that used to be
Yep.
like somebody driving up and down the county road to look at the, you know,
Cell
um,
towers, getting up
the
on a
cell
cell
towers.
tower.
That was my background was in telecom,
Okay.
right? So yeah, it's incredible the use cases, but I just didn't know anything about them, right? Like laws, what height they flew at. I remember our first job. He's like when the guy's like, "How high do you want to fly?" I'm like, 5,000 feet. He's like, "Yeah, that's like an
400
airplane.
FA.
You jump out of airplanes at 10,000 feet, right?" He's
Yeah.
like, "We're not flying a drone." But I'm thinking, I don't know. When I zoom in on Google, that gets some good shots at about this distance. But I was
Yeah.
ignorant, right? You don't know
Yeah.
anything about it till you kind of get into it.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, appreciate you. Anything we didn't cover that you kind of want to talk about or share with people, uh, maybe even just to kind of walk them through if they go, hey, yeah, this is something I want to do. How do I get started?
Yeah, if you go to droners.io, you can create an account, and from there, very simple process. We have tutorials on how to do it as well. You post a job, you basically you pick what you want to do. You can do like the marketplace, which is more do it yourself. That's where you post a job, pilots will bid on the job, you chat with the pilots back and forth. It's very much very similar to like an Upwork pilots are bidding. You hire the pilot you want. We have a chat on there. All the payments. I don't know if I mentioned this, but all the payments are done through Droners as well. So you can either do that, or you can do a done for you package where we have pre-written out packages. We have, like I said, professional editors on staff, and that's just where we handle all the logistics for you. If you don't
Yeah,
want to, if you're strapped for time, you don't want to worry about managing a pilot, scheduling things out. It's like we'll take care of that for you. But yeah, if you go to droners.io, you can just sign up, and it's a pretty simple process, but you can always reach out to support@droners.io, and we'll get back to you within an hour with if you have any questions about the process.
excellent. Well, congrats on the acquisition and doing the research, just finding out who the owners were, flying in, showing up to the auction. That's pretty. You guys, I wish you'd been thinking about it. You guys should have been taking video. You should have had a videographer following you around.
We should have.
Boarding the
We should
plane
have.
in that would have been gold later, kind of in your journey 10 years from now when you're selling it to a much bigger company, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
I wish we
Yeah,
did.
great work, man. Glad to have you on as an entrepreneur and hear your story, but also like share your service. Like we were talking offline before we started. I would have to look back, but I imagine we've done over 30 jobs with droners in the past before you took ownership of it. So looking forward to the updates. I don't know if by the time this airs, your website might be updated. If not, have people keep an eye on it. It sounds like you got some big updates on the interface coming. But yeah, excited for the service you provide. I'm a fan of the done for you. Everybody can kind of test it out themselves, see what works for you, where you're at in your business. But it helps separate your listings like in this market. So anything you can actively do in this market to stand
Yes.
out and get your property sold and reduce days on market, I would say do
Yes.
it. And it's a nominal cost for what you get. All right. Thanks, Michael. Have a great day, man. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Travis. Thanks for having me on. You have a great day too.